Okay, so we're thrilled to have Christian Mesenholl with us today. Christian is the head of Morningstar Central Europe. And for those of you who don't know Morningstar, apart from the fund analysis services, they actually offer services in all parts of the value chain of the wealth management supply chain, essentially. So a large, big company. Christian also has a lot of experience working for some of the largest banks in very, very senior positions, having seen many parts of the different parts of the business. So Christian, we're very thankful to have you here today. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to get to the first question that refers to the disruptive forces in the wealth management business at the moment, especially for large wealth managers, right? We're being hit by technological changes that are forcing us to sharpen the value chain. We're being hit by client expectations that are going up. Then regulatory changes that are also making things more expensive and forcing us to move away from commission-based business models towards advisory-based business models. In your estimation, if you had 1 billion Swiss francs, how would you build up the perfect wealth management business?
Thank you, Robert, for the introduction, and thank you for having me here on the Zoom call. 1 billion is a lot of money, but probably you don't need it, but let's start. So how should an ideal wealth management platform look like? First, I think it must be fully independent. So I would build up an independent advisory platform that is also purpose-driven. So let's start with the why. The why is investors first. You can label that differently, but I think the client should stand in the center. We at Morningstar, we have a slogan, we call it empowering investor success. So starting with the why. Then how should that advisory platform look like? It's not a bank, it's really an advisory platform based on goal planning. And the goal should be as individual as the investor, and not just the traditional buckets, income, balance, growth. No, as individual as the investors need. Then independence, what does it mean? It means it should be agnostic from the investment product side. So investment products must be robust and used as instruments to fill your portfolio and the asset allocation based on your goal. And secondly, independent and agnostic means the client can choose with which bank / custodian he or she can work with. That means independent.
So if you say as individual as the investor herself, doesn't that increase costs substantially, and especially in an industry that is really being hit by increasing costs? Wouldn't that further increase costs by allowing for increased customization?
You mentioned at the beginning we see a shift from fee-based to advisory-based. So pay for advice. Where is the added value you give to the client? The added value is in the advice and not in the highly digitalized with technology execution. That is a pure commodity. So the added value is in the advice, and therefore I think for good advice you can charge a price, and therefore I think it's justified to charge a price for advice, whereas the rest with marginal cost going towards zero should become a commodity. And you see it in also regulatory wise. You have the RDR share classes for funds in the UK, and probably that will spread out across Europe or across the globe.
Okay. So maybe last question, just in terms of fund costs over the next 5 years, do you think the costs of funds are likely to stay the same, go up or go down? And why?
The costs of fund for the end investor, here we talk about the retail investor, will come down. Why? Because as we already known, a lot of wealth managers move towards fee-based advice and therefore use clean fee share classes. In the UK and in the Netherlands, we already have that, and that will put the pressure to all of the fund companies to come down with the management fees because the trail in the management fees will come down as well, and and this commission-based advice will be replaced by fee-based advice. That is a trend that started, and it will continue and will be even more emphasized.
Super. And in the end, what do you think what kind of advice are clients willing to pay for?
For advice that fits their needs. And therefore, I propose to have a goal-based planning, starting with your needs. And if the client feels that someone is taking care of him individually, then I think the client is willing to pay for that, for good advice.
Super. Christian, thank you for taking this time to speak with us today, and we wish you a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you, Robert.